Ladies and gentlemen, Tactical Advance here, and welcome back to some more Star Citizens. Now today, a few topics to go through, and the first topic today is obviously around the dogfighting module. Now, looking through some of the videos over at PAX East and the latest 10 from the chairman, it looks like some of us might be seeing the dogfighting in the last week of May. So something to look forward to there. I was aware, sort of, I think it was about 3 months ago, 2.5 months ago now, Star Citizens did actually mention torrent downloading. So what that means is it's peer-to-peer. So when I've downloaded it, someone downloads it from me, and so on and so on. Is the dogfighting going to work like this? Because the question is how do you do staggered when you're doing peer-to-peer? Because once the first peer's got the full download, then someone downloads from them. So it's probably going to be done on maybe user accounts, or maybe people have subscribed to the magazine. So we're probably going to be expecting a few thousand in the first iteration, and then they're probably going to rank it up from there. So we could possibly say by the end of the month we would all have dogfighting. So 4 weeks away, it's not the end of the world, but I'll prefer for them to take maybe an extra couple of weeks. We've waited so long now, it's not going to make any difference, is it? I'm excited obviously to play it, but at the same time, if they spend an extra week just ironing out a few more things just to make it a bit smoother, then it's better for all of us at the end of the day. The next big news, actually what's come up lately, and something I've not actually discussed before, is actually gifting, and we're not going to call it the grey market as such, for ships, for buying and selling. Now, just for the people out there who are not aware of this, basically what it is it's people on the internet maybe who own ships or bought ships for one reason, maybe to resell, and what they do is they put the ships up for sale, obviously at a higher price. I say obviously, because obviously I'm assuming they're doing it to make money, and then sell the ships on to other people. And what they actually do is either they do one of two things: they either give you the account or they gift you the ship. Star Citizens have basically come forward and said, look, they're happy for people to do this, but what they're not happy about is when someone actually goes down that process and pays someone some money by PayPal or transfers some money to someone, and then they don't get what they were supposed to get, i.e. the ship or the LTI or whatever it was. I understand that, but I mean, it's very difficult for Star Citizen to actually police that outside of their own sort of domain. Now, you could ask yourself, well, maybe Star Citizen should implement something on the lines of some sort of trading system where money transactions could have, but at the same time, look, the way I see it is Star Citizens are building a game here, and I don't think they should focus on buying and selling and money transactions, because that alone is probably going to create 4 or 5 jobs in itself, when really what they need to be focusing on is the actual game. What they've implemented, I mean, it's obviously it doesn't affect me because obviously I've never sort of bought on that market, but I suppose for the people who are buying and selling, it will affect them. They're basically saying that you can only gift a ship once. So I suppose once you gift it to someone, it can't be gifted again. And I think this actually starts at, well, I think pretty much tomorrow, so we haven't got long, so it starts on the 1st. Now, how will this actually affect the grey market? Because obviously it's still going to exist. I mean, you can still do the same thing, but you just can't do it repetitively. The ships can't be passed on and then passed on. A scenario where that might actually happen is I sell a ship for $50 to someone, they then buy it off me for $50, and then they resell it for $70. So obviously what it's going to do is eliminate that. I don't think it's necessarily going to totally eliminate the fraudulent aspect of it, people conning people. I think that's still going to exist. It will slow down the market and sort of kill it to some instances. What I'm sort of expecting to see over the next sort of maybe 2 to 3 weeks, once we've sort of gone past the 1st of the month, is for the ship prices that are going to be available, the ones that are on sale, I'm sort of expecting them to increase maybe by 20, maybe even 50%, on the basis that the people selling them know it can only be sold once now. For them to keep buying ships is going to be an issue, because obviously within a month or 2 months, no one else about to trade in ships because they've already been gifted or passed on once already, unless people are obviously buying new ships. At the same time, if they're buying new ships, then the question is why don't someone just buy it themselves? Why would they buy a ship that costs more when they can just buy it directly from the website? I think it's a good move by Star Citizen. You don't want to be getting him caught up in the politics of that sort of stuff. And once again, they're not an e-commerce shop. I suppose they are actually to some extent. They do sell ships, but They're not an eBay or sort of that sort of bidding website. You know, they're a game maker, and that's what they're focusing on. Well, so one of the other updates is we've just gone past the 43 million stretch goal, which is actually fantastic. The pace has slowed down slightly, but this is probably to do with the fact that obviously ship sales have been decreased. So some of the other news we've got is, according to the website, all the slots have gone now for the alpha and pre-alpha, which were, I think there was 350,000 in total, so that's a good amount, and that was actually increased 3 or 4 times along the actual process, but sort of pleased that they didn't increase it again, because there's pointless setting a target when you're just going to increase it. But 350,000 was the cap, but they have set it so people can now still pledge, but they can only opt into modules. The definition of modules is, obviously we know of one, which is the dogfighting module. I don't know how many modules there's going to be along the way, but could there be 10? Could there be 3? Could it be 2? I'm not 100% certain, and that obviously hasn't been confirmed as yet. And moving on, we have also some other news as well, which is surrounding the in-game chat system, which is the VoIP system, which Chris Roberts is using something called Live Drive. Now, what Live Drive does, it uses your video cam or your camera built into your monitor, stroke laptop, or whatever you're using. And basically what it does is it picks up your facial expressions and then it projects them onto the character in the game. Now, that's a fantastic thing to implement. In some ways, it's a simple thing to do, but actually it could be quite effective. And obviously that's going to make it the immersion of the game, and the fact that the characters actually, facial expressions are actually moving when he's talking. So found that very interesting as well. So I've actually got a camera, so I'm going to be trying it, guys. So let's see how that goes when it's actually implemented into the game. Is that going to be implemented into the Dogfighting V1? As far as we're aware, it's saying no, but I think it's probably going to go into version 2. Moving on, we also had some more information around Squadron 42. I've said this many times before, something I'm really looking forward to. I'm sort of always been quite enjoyed sort of single player games, in the earlier days, and I found that as I sort of got older, the single player aspect of the game sort of got forgotten in some ways, and multiplayer took over. We can all be reassured that Squadron 42 is going to be, could we say, blockbuster first single player game, so something I'm really looking forward to. Chris Roberts announced that there is currently around about 1,000 pages of scripting, which should sort of narrative down to around about 700 to 600 pages. I mean, that's normal, that's a good sort of blockbuster film, so on the basis that that's going to be implemented into the game, something to look forward to. And they've also said that the story is going to be very immersive and something that we're really going to enjoy playing. Now for me, as I say, going back a long way when I was sort of playing sort of single player games, something I'm actually looking forward to. And I'm not saying that Squadron 42 gets overlooked, but I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. And I think the first thing I'm going to do once the game goes live is I'm going to play Squadron 42 to the end and complete that. There's no doubt about it, because what we're actually going to see and experience in that is going to be a standalone single player game on its own without the persistent universe. Adding that in is a double bonus. So something I'm looking forward to. Something else I'm looking forward to in Squadron 42 is seeing the actual AI themselves. Now, I've watched a few videos and read quite a few posts on the forum, and what they're actually going to implement is a AI system. Let's just say probably one of the most AI systems that I've seen implemented into a game. Now, one of my sort of big bugbearers with most sort of single player games I've played in the past, even from the blockbuster titles, is the predictability of the AI. And what I mean by that is when you get stuck on a level, you walk around a corner, you get shot, you then repeat the same scenario, but then you lean out from the corner, you kill him. So the progression in the game is not more about you knowing where the enemy is going to come from and where they're going to be and how they react. Star Citizen's AI look to be totally different. They're going to respond to the environment rather than actually be in a predictable place. So that's something I'm really looking forward to. To play a single player game where it's not predictable, that's something I'm looking forward to. At the same time, they've also said that the AI will have different types of personalities. And what I mean by that, let's just say angry, happy, rash, so on and so on. And then personalities will be applied to different AI characters. So every time you come across an AI, he might react slightly different. As well as that, they've also said that what they're going to do is between the races, they're going to add a flight style. So what I mean by that is for the Vandal, they will fly in a certain way, but at the same time, they still will hold one of them personalities. So what that's bringing to the table is an AI, like I said, we've not seen before. So something I'm really looking forward to is definitely Squadron 42. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe.